Good morning, I'm Shelley Miles. We have a special half hour talking about recovery. Our good friends from Soba, Texas are joining us. If you don't know about Soba, this is a recovery center in the Texas Hill Country. Excellent service, great guys behind the program, and they're all joining us here this morning. Greg Hanley is here. He is the CEO and founder of the Soba Recovery Center. Alex Sergici is the Director of Operations of Soba, Texas. And actor Daniel Baldwin always stops by to help with the conversation. It's so good to see you guys. Thank you for coming this morning.
Good morning.
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 You know, everywhere we turn, there seems to be another story of someone in rehab, someone having trouble with a opiate addiction, a heroin addiction, something like that. And that's why it's important to have you here to talk about what kind of treatment is available so close to home here in San Antonio. Why is it that we keep seeing so many people battling addictions?
Well, so the drug companies made addicts, is the easiest thing. OxyContin was the biggest marketing of any drug in the history of drugs, and the most addicting. And it's so easy for people to get stuck on pills that, and it turns into heroin eventually. That we now have an agreement with, they just announced this week with the police department in on the East Coast.
Oh, I saw that in New York, yeah.
Yeah, that is, instead of, they're giving people a choice. There's so many people that are getting arrested for drug-related, opiate, heroin-related type of things, that they're offering them an option of going to treatment or going to jail. And when they, which should be a pretty obvious option.
Right.
And when they offer that, then we have somebody that goes out to get them placed in treatment.
So is that something that you support?
Yeah, we're part of that.
Yeah?
We're part of that.
Oh,
yeah.
wow,
Yeah,
okay.
It's a Soba project. The other thing that we did out there, and we're hoping to be able to do this in San Antonio also, is that when Narcan is if somebody overdoses, it's a drug that keeps them from dying, basically. When a hospital in New Jersey Narcan somebody, they call us to the hospital, and then we go and speak to them about going to treatment also.
Wow, you're almost like the first responders. You're the first line of defense in the fight against addiction. So, as you know, Greg has facilities all over the United States, which is why you're able to be involved against this fight against drugs in other states, like New York, for example, and trying to do that here in San Antonio as well. Why do you think it's so hard for people to get on board and treat drug addiction as a sickness?
You know, it's an epidemic. And if you look up epidemic, if it was any other kind of thing, like when Ebola came or the Zika virus or anything like that, people take action, and whatever's required is what they offer to help out. This has killed 45,000, 50,000 people this year, and they're still treating it like a criminal problem or something, and not a mental health, and it is contagious. Yeah. So people don't, it's not something that people just pop up with. It is, when you have one kid starts getting on drugs and getting on pills, it gets another kid and another kid and another kid. And I've seen whole towns. There was one town that was begging me to come, and they said, everybody in the town is on OxyContin. So I talked to one of the dads who owned a big company and was sending all his kids' friends out, and he said now they're all on heroin. And it's there's whole communities that are being affected by this.
Well, here's actually the real answer to that question. And the real answer to that question is Ebola isn't a crime. Cancer isn't a crime. Yeah. So there's a stigma attached to the fact that your son or your daughter is a heroin addict. So they're either buying the drugs illegally, they're obviously breaking laws and so on. So it's the big secret that no one wants to talk about that's going to kill more people than the Vietnam War this year. More people than the Vietnam War. The secret's out.
Yeah.
It's an epidemic. It's no longer some inner city problem that you see on the news. It's right here in San Antonio. It's going to kill, it's #3 killer in the country now. Overdoses, #3.
More people dying of overdoses than dying in car crashes.
Cancer, heart failure, overdoses.
Let's make sure that people understand the connection between painkillers and heroin, because I think as a parent that's important to understand that, for example, if you are on some sort of OxyContin for a surgery or back surgery, a knee surgery, Vicodin, anything like that, that's sort of the doorway to heroin, right?
It is heroin, and it is a doorway. And Pfizer, one of the largest pharmaceutical companies, I don't know if it was this week or last week, finally made the announcement saying painkillers are addictive. I mean,
they're opiates.
So, I mean, we've known that, you know, and they're now finally saying we're going to put a warning that they're addictive.
And what happens, you know, we saw it with, we've talked about Prince before, and I didn't understand how it all works. You need pain medication to feel better. And when the pain medication isn't available anymore, you've got to turn to something else. And that's when people turn to heroin?
Yeah. Well, when they can't afford it or they can't get it. So, and it doesn't matter who you are. If you take an opiate-based painkiller consistently for a length of time, you will be physically addicted. So many people that I treat that come in, even the ones that are addicted to painkillers or Xanax, or there's a combination. So what happens, if you get addicted to a painkiller, you can't sleep very well. So then they give you Xanax, say. Now you have this combination, you throw some alcohol in it, and it's lethal. So if you take it long enough, it doesn't matter if you're Prince or if you're somebody else. You're going to get addicted to it, and if you can't get it, the physical addiction is so strong that you're going to do anything, including smoke some heroin if you can't get it. So what happens, and even the moms that that get addicted, when they run out, they start getting it on the street. Other moms, sooner or later, you're going to find your way to somebody that's selling pills, but a pill might be $50, where some heroin might be $10. So, they go, and you can get the same effect. So it's not about having fun or partying or the pain. I've had so many people that didn't even realize that their pain surgery had cured their problem 2 years ago. And yet they were taking morphine, OxyContin, Vicodin, like a whole. I've had people come in literally that they had to have a rolling luggage cart for the amount of medications, all opiate-based medications.
Well, guys, we need your help in the fight. We're going to talk more with our friends from Soba, Texas, when we come back.
No one is perfect. We all have our inner struggles. It may be alcohol, drug, or any type of addiction. Soba Recovery Center is here to offer free help. You can get the help and free information by calling right now from the privacy of your own home. Don't let alcohol, drug, or any addiction ruin your life. If you or a loved one have alcohol, drug, or any addiction, get help by calling right now. Soba Recovery Center. Most private insurance accepted.
Good morning, everybody. You heard from our friends from Soba, Texas. We are dealing with an epidemic when it comes to drugs in this country. Joining us to tell us a little bit more, Greg Hanley, the CEO and founder of Soba Recovery Center, Alex Dragici, the director of operations at Soba, Texas, and actor Daniel Baldwin, who always comes and gives his thoughts on what we're dealing with. These guys are very passionate, and we are so happy to have you here. We've been chatting for almost 2 years now about this, and I feel like we're doing a service, giving people more information about what's out there, letting people know that if you are dealing with an addiction, that there is help right here in the San Antonio Hill Country. And we've got some interesting stats this morning, because a lot of you might be sitting at home going, there's no drug problem. There's not moms addicted to heroin. What are you talking about? Well, guys, take a look at your screen, because there are problems. Drug-related deaths since 2000, drug overdoses have increased 200%. That is a huge, huge number. Here's some more stats. In 2014, the number of drug-related deaths in the United States was 47,000. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, that's 2014. The numbers, you're going to see them
that's
go
old.
up.
Yeah, that's what we're saying, is old. Drug-related deaths would rank as the 3rd leading cause of death in the United States. And, you know, sometimes we hear about these high-profile problems, but we don't hear about, you know, regular people dealing with these problems. What do you think about those statistics, Greg?
Yeah, well, it's insane that we're not taking better care of this epidemic, contagious epidemic. If there was anything else that was causing, that was unnecessary and treatable, that was causing 47,000 deaths. Now, and most of these are youth. They're 20 to 24, 25 years old that they're dying. Now they have a new synthetic heroin that they're using that is something like 300 times as powerful. And when they cut it in, you'll have 5 overdoses in the same house. Dead, gone, see ya.
Wow.
So that's happening here in San Antonio. This is our neighborhood, our community, this is our city. It's happening in San Antonio.
And you're also, you know, put things in perspective here. So the #1 killer being heart failure. Well, when you're 80 years old and your heart stops working, that counts as heart failure, that person dying of natural causes. You take cancer, which is the #2 killer in the country, and you look at how many people above 50 that die. We're talking about 47,000 deaths in this country in 2014, where I promise you 40,000 of them fall between 18 and 25.
So why are
it's the
people not
#1
helping?
killer in that age group.
Why is there not anything going on with this?
So well, here's the interesting thing, is that we have a model that we treated people and used their health insurance for long-term care. So you would think that if you had a good insurance policy and it had mental health and substance abuse benefits, that you would be able to send your kid or your loved one into treatment for 30 days, however long they needed.
Sure.
If you had cancer and they needed to treat you 25 times over the next year, it'd be 25 times in the next year. The insurance companies have turned the dial back, and they're only allowing 14 days of residential treatment consistently. That's the average that we're getting, is 14 days of insured coverage. So they'll lower the level of care. At 14 days, they'll go, they're good. They're good. They should go home. Go do an outpatient. So I don't even know how to deal with it. And I won't do it. I won't send them home at that time. And the insurance companies are doing all kinds of weird things. And you need to fix that, because the people need to be able to get the treatment that they deserve to get and that they're paying for.
So then you challenge the insurance company and say, hey, how do I tell a mom, and this has happened, how do I tell a mom and then the kid dies? And the mom wants to come back and say, my God, why, you know? So we contact them and we say, hey, what's going on? But they don't care. They don't care. The only thing that we have seen so far, because the election is here and they're talking about it, so the Fed is saying now we have to address this terrible epidemic. The state of Massachusetts, the governor said, I don't care what the Fed does. I am going to change the laws in my state to address this need. You, fortunately, in the state of Texas, have a governor that's proactive and really does work. Abbott is a really good governor. And thank God he's here, because you know what? You need to reach out. You need to contact his office, email, phone call, whatever you have to do, and let him know that we're not going to let kids in Texas die unnecessarily. We want some type of emergency legislation, or they're going to die in Texas. It's going to happen.
Opiate abuse, heroin addiction is not considered medically necessary for treatment. That's the first thing. So if your kid is overdosing from heroin and you bring them to treatment and that's all they're doing, the insurance company will go, nah, they don't need to be in treatment. They can go to outpatient, which has 0 success rate. So I mean, it is, I don't even know how to describe the fact that this is going on like that.
So we just talked about the fact that this is the #3 cause of death in the United States, and it's treatable. You know?
It's growing.
Really treatable.
And it's growing. Yet here we are in a state of emergency because insurances are pulling back their coverage. And that's just unacceptable. So like Daniel was saying, we need you to get involved in the fight. Alex, how can people, you talked about congressmen, things like that. Where can people find more information?
Governor. I mean, if you just Google it, it's pretty easy. Also in the state of Texas, we have what's called the TDI, Texas Department of Insurance. It's very simple to file a complaint there also. They have a complaint.
The governor can fix this. They did it on the East Coast where he said he demanded that the insurance companies treat opiate addiction and that they do it. And for a certain length of time. And an opiate addict, a heroin addict, needs to be in treatment, whatever level of care it's going to be, for at least 90 days. At 6 months, you're seeing a really good, significant success. And of the ones that can stay in treatment for a year, you're getting, it's the best. We were getting the top success rate probably anywhere.
You guys do have a fantastic success rate. We've talked to so many people who have been through your centers. And we're going to talk a little bit more with our friends from Soba, Texas. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We're talking about addiction and recovery with our friends from Soba, Texas. We've had a great conversation about how big this drug epidemic has become, the third biggest killer of people in the United States. And those numbers come from 2014. So we know it's only going to get bigger. Joining us, Greg Hanley, Alex Dragici, and actor Daniel Baldwin. I want to get to some viewer questions because this batch of questions, most of them came from young kids. It's summertime, the kids are out of school, and this is pretty interesting because I want you guys to be real frank when you answer these questions. This first question, can you get addicted to drugs if you only do them once in a while?
Yeah, you can.
That's the mindset of a young person, right?
Well, and one thing is, depends on the kind of drugs. If you're using opiate-based drugs, you're going to get addicted to them. And it's the tricky part of it is that you never know which drug is going to be your thing. So you might think, and the once in a while, so they have a kind of thing that they talk about where I used to only do it on the weekends. And then my weekends got a little longer. And then, so now it turned into noon on Friday to I'm missing work on Monday. So you see, addiction is a progressive illness. And it is, if you do drugs once in a while, you absolutely can become addicted to something.
You know, my answer is, what did you think of your first bowl of ice cream?
True.
You know, if you find the right flavor and it works for you, you're going to go, wow, I like
Especially that chocolate peanut butter. More. Absolutely. But that, you know, and that leads us into the second question. Why do some people become addicted while others don't?
It can be a combination. Some of it is hereditary, and I bump into a lot of people that have generations of people in their family that were alcoholic or addicted to drugs, or and a lot of times it's not really noticeable. You've got the one that's addicted to shopping, and you got the one that's a gambler, and you've got the one that is a workaholic.
And that's not completely necessarily true. I mean, when you've got trillion-dollar pharmaceutical companies, they're not in the business of curing people. They're in the business of writing more prescriptions.
Yeah, they're creating
addicts.
And
they are
opiates
creating addicts.
are addictive. Benzos, which are Xanax, Klonopin, Ambien, I think is one. If you take them long enough, you're going to get physically addicted.
See, there's the term that Greg, you know, always talks about. There's the potential for genetic predisposition, which means, you know, it's in your DNA that you have a propensity for this to possibly happen. When you combine that with environmental, that you're around it, and it's you know, then you're probably going to end up. But we're talking about opiates now. There's a physical, the regular kid that doesn't have a genetic predisposition is not in that environment, and he breaks it. The football player breaks his leg. And they turn around and they write it like they would write Pez. You know, they hand the kid a bottle, 90 of them, and and by the time he's done with legitimate problem, he's physically addicted to this drug.
And that's the fault of the drug. You know, he doesn't know that, and that's what's scary, because there are things in these opiates that will make you addicted no matter who you are.
Yeah, the opiate.
Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
right.
Exactly. If you've got questions about what's going on at Soba, Texas, about the different things that they can treat, you can post them on Facebook. You can also call Soba, Texas at 866-948. Sorry about that. I am just a little bit under the weather this morning. We'll get you the phone number there in just a second. We've got more. It's on your screen. More with our friends from Soba, Texas after the break. I want to give you the phone number again to Soba, Texas. It's right here in the Texas Hill Country. The phone number 866-948-9014. You can find them on Facebook and also at sobatexas.com. We've been talking about the epidemic that we're facing involving drugs, the problem with insurance companies not covering and not helping this fight. Greg, your final thoughts before we go?
You know, give us a call. If you think you have a problem in your house or in your neighborhood, give a call and we can help with it.
Alex?
Starts with the phone call. Yeah, we do have beds available. And I know we're talking about it like it's so bad. People need to know we're still doing the long-term treatment.
Okay.
And we have the absolute best facility, best staff, so.
You do. We've heard from so many people. We've heard from people right here in San Antonio that you're helping on a daily basis. Daniel, final thoughts?
My generation will always be known through history as the baby boomers. I really believe wholeheartedly that this generation will be known in 50 years as the heroin generation if we don't do something. It is that bad a problem. Please reach out to the governor of Texas and tell him we're not going to let this happen to our Texans.
Right.
We're just not going to let this happen to our children.
Okay, guys, if you need more information, you can contact our friends at Soba, Texas. Also, everything you need to know right there on your screen. You can also look for the recent edition of Recovery Today. It's an online magazine with great information inside of it. We'll see you next time. Soba, Texas.
No one is perfect. We all have our inner struggles. It may be alcohol, drug, or any type of addiction. Soba Recovery Center is here to offer free help. You can get the help and free information by calling right now from the privacy of your own home. Don't let alcohol, drug, or any addiction ruin your life. If you or a loved one have alcohol, drug, or any addiction, get help by calling right now. Soba Recovery Center. Most private insurance accepted.